Good evening and welcome into the Dickey Electric Scoreboard. I am Mike Ackelson along with Anthony Hartwig as we wrapped up the audible call for week 8. This is one of these ones where you and I probably have a little egg on our face. We walked in tonight and we're like, I don't know about this schedule. We had some great games.
Looks like a lot of blowouts today, Mike. No.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best weeks.
It absolutely
we had
was.
2 overtime games and one game that came down to a go-ahead 2-point conversion at the end. I mean, couldn't ask for more.
And in that game, Brookfield's down double digits at one point. And you're like, I don't know how much we're going to be going. And all the credit to the world to the Warriors because they needed that win. That was big for their program tonight. But just some other great games. I mean, the Salem game, again, heartbreak for the Quakers. I mean, you get to overtime.
It's another one of those games where they just couldn't find that game-winning play. It's right there. It's right in front of them. They just can't reach out and grab it.
And then I got to be honest, the game of the night, there's 2 that flipped to my mind. One is definitely East Palestine, Columbiana. The rivalry of that game, everything goes to overtime. And it's been a long time, I think, since the Bulldogs.
I think Joe CBO said 2017. It's a traveling trophy.
Yeah.
And it's been in Columbiana, so maybe 5 years, I think, since East Palestine last beat Columbiana. But Owen Ariachi is just one of those kids that has changed that program. He had another big game. It got kind of heated. There were some controversial plays and calls in the final moments of that game that swung East Palestine's way because it was looking like Columbiana at least would have a shot for a
long
game-winning field goal. And that got erased by a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that was called on Columbiana, which from the broadcast view we didn't see. We only saw a late hit out of bounds on East Palestine. So Joe CBO and the whole broadcast, they were all thinking, okay, there's going to be a 15-yard penalty on the Bulldogs. Columbiana's going to be in position, and then the umpire, the officials come out and say Columbiana, and we're like,
yeah.
But there must have been a retaliation. That's what I think. I think they always get the person that does it twice.
You always get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. It's not the guy that opened it.
Exactly. So that erased that hope for Columbiana. East Palestine got the ball back, and they won in overtime.
Well, and then Middle Ridge Springfield, that instant classic. Wow, was that a game?
Middle Ridge, I feel for them because they got so close to having a huge upset, and Springfield does enough. 2 big plays in that final touchdown drive to seal it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big come from behind win for the Tigers. And I know when I walked in, I looked at you and I said, this could sneakily be a game. And you were like, I don't know. And I said, no, seriously, the Rams have just played everybody tough this year.
Yep. And then my upset call worked out. I thought Liberty was 100%. Poised for a win. They're fast. They have speed. You know, they're kind of built to beat a team like LeBray, and that worked out for them. They did it.
They did 22-16, and what a final drive by the Leopards. They made third down conversions. They made the right plays. They got out of bounds when they needed to get out of bounds. Like they did everything right, and then they come up with a big defensive stop to end it.
It really just shows you what Liberty can do when they're playing the right way.
Yeah,
I mean they've struggled a little bit with consistency and with discipline so far this season, but when they're right, things go really well.
Yeah, and we do want to mention Ursuline played Cleveland Villangela St. Joe's. Games 14-14 at one point. The Irish hold them to a field goal and get 10 of their own to come away with a big.
Let's point out this was a game that we really wanted to be at. Tim Corso was there in attendance. He was giving us score updates. There's no press box at the brand new stadium at Villangela St. Joe's. It looks beautiful. I don't know if anyone has seen the overhead shot of it. It's an amazing looking stadium. But no press box yet. Maybe there are plans to build press box in the future. It just wasn't the immediate need. So with no press box, it was really hard to find a spot for us to broadcast. So we couldn't really bring it to you, but we wanted to. It was such a good game, and what a big win for Ursuline.
Yeah, big win. Unofficially, it vaults them up to number 1 in their region in Division III. And we know that region is loaded.
Loaded, man. And so, I think Ursuline has a chance, a solid chance.
Yeah. There is a team in there that's called Chardon.
Mm-hmm.
They're traditionally
those are going to
good.
be different styles of football.
Yeah,
Completely opposite
absolutely.
spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but just a great night overall. I mean, you can't beat it. And the one thing that you and I both said when we hit the airwaves tonight was there's a couple things that you're doing in week 8. You're positioning yourself for a conference championship, which is always a goal of any school coming into the season.
And I think there are a couple of teams that put themselves in really good spots in that regard. The other thing you're doing is you're trying to position yourself into a playoff spot. Those teams that are either fighting for a playoff spot or fighting for a home game in the top 8 seeds.
Yeah.
A lot of positioning to go there. And then the last thing I said, Mike, is you're also if you got those two locked down, you know you're going to get a top 8 spot. You know you're going to be in the playoffs. Momentum heading into the postseason is so important these last 3 weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
You do not want to limp into the playoffs.
Yeah, you want to go in playing the right way. You don't want to back your way in like, oh, it's okay. We won 8 out of 8, but then we dropped the last 2. You don't want to do that because all of a sudden now that doubt has been, fueled up. Sometimes I do think when a team coast through a season, if they get that one game where they can refocus, that is a helpful thing.
You want to be pushed. You don't. I mean, unless you're a Kirtland who was just they were beating people because they were just that good.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that good, the South Range Raiders, their winning streak in the NE8 continued, and I mean, they went up to Niles like Niles had just beaten them a week ago, and
it's like they're still mad about 2018.
Yeah, I remember the line from the Titans, leave no doubt.
Yes.
They left no doubt up in Bo Ryan Stadium tonight. Big win for them, but I still think Coach Rock does it the right way. He gets a big lead, and then they basically sit on it. They will drive the ball, but they're not going to grind.
And you know what's not talked about, because we talk about that kind of thing. We're like, oh, they're showing mercy. They're playing good sportsmanship. But it's building the program for years to come, because those kids that are getting in now are going to be the future kids that get into close games that need to make those plays.
Yeah.
It's building. It does nothing to build your program and to leave the starters in that kind of situation. Yeah, they could have scored 70 points. Sure, that's clap. I mean, but putting the kids that are going to be in the future of the program into that situation. Maybe there are some kids in that situation that really deserve a letter because of the way they do things. They'll get a letter because they played in that game. So those little things that build the program.
Well, and this is the first time in 4 weeks that there was a running clock. I mean, you go back, Struthers played them tough. In the end, South Range pulls away. The following week, Poland 38-30.
And that was in the end, Poland made it close because it was one that looked like South Range was running away with it.
Yeah. But remember, Poland had a 2-touchdown lead in that game, and a couple miscues, and all of a sudden, South Range got their feet under them and was like, all right, here we go.
And then Girard played them pretty hard.
They did.
At the end, it was South Range rolling away with it, but Girard didn't, I don't believe, ever gotten a running clock.
So that's the first of their 4-game, or second part of their 4-game road trip now. Next week, they head to Louisville.
Louisville has not played a not close game that they haven't won yet. So I expect that to be a close game. That's just because Louisville has been playing, keeping everybody close.
Yeah. They'll be in that game for a while. And then they end, of course, on the road at Hubbard. And Hubbard might be a team at that point that's going to be desperate, because a win at that point could mean the difference of being home week 1 or being on the road.
You never want to play a team that has talent and is desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. Hubbard's got both.
That's a bad mix.
So, but all in all, week 8 did not disappoint. I know when I looked at the schedule earlier today, I was like, this could be a quick night.
Yeah.
This could be, but it wasn't.
No.
And I know we're going to have some of our crew calling in here shortly. I know Ty will call. Ty had
got to give him some minutes because he just ended. But the good news is he's right down the road. He lives in Ravenna. He was at Ravenna Southeast, so
he might be headed.
He might go to Taco Bell.
Or Wendy's. There's either a Frosty or a burrito in his future.
He earned it. What a call!
Yeah.
I want to give some shout outs to some calls because there were really good calls, really good games. Joe CBO in Columbiana and that East Palestine game, I thought called it beautifully. I thought he had an awesome call. Love the Southern call. Southern Valley Christian had a great call.
Absolutely.
Speaking of great calls,
yes.
How about the guy that's always here first, man? He beats everyone to the punch. does it again. Eric Hughes coming on with us.
How's it going?
Good. How are you tonight?
Doing all right.
Talk about your game a little bit, the way it broke down. Early on, Jackson Milton kind of threw some punches back at Lowville, but once the Rockets got going, they settled in nicely.
Yeah, Louisville's defense, young defense early on, they struggled to get out the field. They're on like 3rd and 4th down. They gave up a field goal early on and also a touchdown. But the offense, they did just enough for halftime to give them a 12-9 lead for the half. And the defense, they were great the rest of the game, only gave up 1 touchdown in garbage time toward the end. And the offense, they got really hot. Ricky Willich had 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Josh Pazel, another one to Gino. And then Gino Perry, he had 3 touchdowns of the night, that receiving touchdown, then 2 rushing touchdowns of his own. So a great bounce back win for the Rockets.
Something I was saying on the audible call, it felt like, and I don't know if you saw this too, Eric Hughes, it felt like it was just a matter of Jackson Milton did not have the depth to play at that level for 4 quarters against Lowville. They played at that level for a little bit. It was a great fight, but at the end of the day, they just didn't have the numbers to play at that level of football for that long, and Lowville just outlasted them.
Yeah, it really just came down to personnel at the end of the day. Louisville, obviously, they have their killer bees, Ricky Willich, Josh Pazel, Gino Perry. Defense really stepped up tonight. Offensive line played well like they usually do. Jacksonville was just outmatching this one.
Talk about coming down the stretch here for them. They're home next week, their final home game of the year against Waterloo. They cannot overlook them for their Week 10 matchup.
No, Waterloo, they've also been kind of struggling this year, just like Jackson Milton, but they're going to want to spoil Louisville's senior night. And Louisville can't let that happen. They have to be ready to play that game. And they do, of course, have that big game Week 10 at Springfield. That's going to be a great one. Like you said, Louisville, they can't be caught looking ahead.
Waterloo's been known to upset last couple of years. They've always been that team that sneaks one at least once a year. So, I agree with you, too. You got to watch out for Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the big thing heading down the stretch, Eric, Lowville just has to take care of business. They're kind of in a spot where they kind of control their own destiny.
Yeah. Another thing I want to point out, I think they did a better job tonight taking care of the football. That was kind of an issue against McDonald last week they improved on. They had a couple of turnovers last week. They didn't have any turnovers this week, and they didn't have nearly as many penalties as they did last week, which is a good sign. And, hey, you know what? I also saw Middle Ridge. They almost pulled it off against Springfield, making them look kind of beatable. Again, don't want to look ahead, but Louisville, they can make some noise for the last 2 weeks.
I like that you brought up last week's game because I do want to point out how impressive that is for a very young team to go through a game like that where they get beat pretty handily. McDonald came in, smacked them around a little bit, and they're able to come back off the mat, prepare for a week of football, come back on a Friday night, and just play a well-executed game plan and get back on track. That's not as easy as it sounds for a young football team.
Mm-mm. Yeah, very young team, but I do love the way the team's headed right now. Ricky Wilrich, sophomore quarterback, we talk about him a lot. He looks like the real deal. Have another great game tonight. 18 passing touchdowns in the season now for only 7 games.
Whew. All right, Eric, we want to thank you so much for hopping on today, and great call like always. We'll see you back here for Week 9.
Yep, thank you.
You got it, buddy.
So Lowville's a team. We know what they got to do the next couple of weeks, Anthony. They got to take care of business. Springfield cannot look ahead, period, because do you know they're next to? We know
we know who's to Week 9.
McDonald.
Oh, they can't look. I think they know that too. I think they know they haven't been playing well enough to think they can look ahead at anybody. Like, they've gotten wins, but you look at the last 2 weeks, 12-0 last week. That's not like a game that you're gonna write home about. They got the win. Congratulations. And then this week they did struggle with Middle Ridge. They had to fight, claw, and nail their way to a win. It's great that they were able to do it, but it's also, hey, we're not blowing teams out. We can't afford to overlook anybody.
No, not at all. And when you flip the script of Mineral Ridge, they hit a couple of home run plays. They absolutely hit a few bombs.
They did.
That were perfect.
We have the boss man, DJ Oakland, joining us.
In the house.
From the crib in the house.
Oh, he's holding that.
He's got a new helmet.
That's an EP helmet. I know that face mask anywhere.
You know it, baby.
Big win for your alma mater tonight.
I'll tell you what, man. Congratulations to the Bulldogs. I think people think about how much this means to a community, but with everything that we've been through, something like this, it means a lot. Congratulations to Coach Dempster, to Owen Iriauchi, who broke the record tonight for the all-time rushing record in the season. In a game like this, to get it that moment, I'm sure means an awful lot. That'll be the topic of conversation for, at East Palestine pubs for years to come, I'm sure. But I'll tell you what, man, to get it against your arch rival in Columbiana it's Ack. I heard you talking about it. You know how deep this rivalry runs, and kudos to the Bulldogs. Kudos to what a great game. Oh my gosh, what a great game. What a great
that one
game.
was great, but you had a game where it looked like at one point Lisbon was about ready to just throw the spaghetti bowl, and then all of a sudden Latonia says, you're not getting away with that till the end.
Listen, I've been talking and making spaghetti puns for like 3 hours, so forgive me for not stopping by tonight, because I think I'm going to be putting some spaghetti in a bowl and eating it before I go to bed. But what a game. Eric Oates, I stole him from you guys tonight, did a wonderful, wonderful job tonight. Hang on. Excuse me. His first game that he's ever done for us, just to see what it's like on our side when kind of what you guys do, make sense of it and the challenges that we face. But I think he liked it a little bit too much. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see if he's in the broadcast booth moving forward. But yeah, you said it. What everybody thought this was going to be was not the case. I mean, we thought this was going to be a runaway for Lisbon. Latonia has had a really tough year. They've had a few tough years. But what I can tell you is, talking to the coaches after, obviously it's hard for a loss, and especially in a rivalry game, it's very challenging to swallow that pill. But what I can tell you is, I saw Latonia 2 weeks ago against Valley Christian. That was a team that didn't look prepared, didn't look ready. What I saw tonight was a team that took multiple steps forward. Carson Brock is a guy that, he was running for his life the entire night. Dylan Johns, who is their key receiver tonight. Latonia, there's a lot of people that'll talk about the skid they're on, but what I'm going to tell you is, these are kids that have heart. And, Lisbon was the better team tonight, but Latonia, which is a very, very exciting time for especially us at the network, as the first team that ever signed on YSN, the Latonia Bears, Latonia has no quit in them. And that's exciting and great to hear. And if you're in Latonia listening to this, you've got a team that you can be proud of, certainly, even though they came up short tonight.
I mean, when a program's going the way Latonia is right now, you have two choices. You either pack it in and accept it, or you fight. And it's great to see the Bears are taking the latter and saying, you know what, yeah, we're struggling right now. We're not coming out with the results we want, but that's not going to be a reason why we don't get up and work every day. And I think you can see on the field with the way they're playing. That's not the first game where they've gotten some pushback off these teams that came in thinking that they were going to get a blowout victory.
No, and it's easy to look at, if you're not watching the games and say, oh, well, okay, well, they put in their second string, third string. That wasn't the case, guys. I mean, Lisbon came in with a plan. Ashton Hinchcliffe coming off of a 217-yard game against Valley Christian. I think he goes over 1,000 tonight for the season, but it wasn't easy. I can tell you that. Latonia had a plan coming in. They were stopping 24, and that's, I wouldn't say they stopped him, but they certainly slowed him down this evening.
Well, I love listening to the game. Your touchdown calls just get me going, man, because you're into it. But it was an easy game to get into. There was excitement even when they weren't touchdown runs or passes.
Well, you know how it is, Mike. I mean, I love calling South Range games, right? It's one of my favorite things to do in this universe. Everybody knows it, but it's always good when you can see a different team. You know what I mean? When you're calling a game that you're unfamiliar with, there is an excitement because these are 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids out there, and they're doing things that are special. So when you see a kickoff return, it's easy to get pumped up. When you're seeing these kids do stuff that they work all season for, all year for, in the weight room and through different sports, there's something to football. There's an excitement based around football that you cannot manufacture. But when you see these awesome plays, I mean, at one point Carson Brock was 35 yards deep, right? He snapped the ball and he's zigzagging around the field, probably ran, I'm not even exaggerating, 100 yards, throws it off his back foot, and they get a first down off of it. I will say this: if Letonia learns to be disciplined and not play behind the sticks, they're going to be a wagon. They're going to be a problem for people.
That's not the first time he pulled off one of those throws for a big play either. A couple of weeks ago, they were down like the 20, and he's backpedaling, running for his life, and he throws up what can only be described as just a prayer, and he gets a receiver in the end zone for a touchdown. So he kind of knows how to make those plays out of nothing, and Carson Brock is someone that we're going to see in the basketball court as well. He's a great basketball player for the Bears, a great athlete, and a great hard worker that knows just how to bring the best out of people. I think he's a good leader. I think we're seeing that from this program. We're seeing the kids kind of buy into what he's doing, and it's easier to play behind leaders like that.
But Lisbon defense, I've given all credit to Letonia, but Lisbon's defense, I'll tell you what, down the stretch, they were the difference. They finally just said, enough is enough. They started bringing, just pinned back their ears and went blitzing, especially off that left end, that Brock couldn't make plays. I mean, he had nowhere to go, no time to make them. I think there were probably 4 or 5 sacks in the last two drives for Lisbon defensively. So you think about that. That's dangerous. I mean, Lisbon could be rattling some cages here. EOAC right now wide open with Valley losing tonight. Mm-hmm. United versus Valley next week that we're excited about naturally. But this is a conference that has yet to crown somebody, and the Bulldogs are sitting there just waiting for that thing to fall right into their lap.
Door's starting to crack open a little bit.
Listen, and that's the thing. I mean, if you're East Palestine right now, you're watching what happened tonight, and excuse me, you look around the league and you go, okay, nobody's really grabbing the bull by the horns. So let's see that crack that Anthony just talked about. Let's kick it down. Let's not worry about playoffs until we have to. There's still a conference crown that is priority number 1 on every locker room in America is win your league, win your conference, and then worry about what happens later.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you got to do. And that's what we said going into tonight's audible call, DJ. When you approached tonight, 1 was about positioning yourself for a conference crown. 2 was you want to now start to make that, where you're kind of sitting playoff wise. If you've got a shot at a home game, you've got to put yourself into that position. And then Anthony always said, you've got to be playing well. You want to be playing well at this time of the year.
Well, this is the time of year that everybody goes to Joe Eitel and starts doing the easy math. Okay, we great that or it sucks that we lost tonight or whatever. But how do we get in? How do we get a week 11? And now with 16 teams allowed in the playoffs, it's within reach, and you can have a tough season and still get into the playoffs. So there's teams like Columbiana that they look and they go, okay. And they start doing, the Rain Man math of, okay, well, if this team loses and this team wins and then we tie, there's all of this stuff that goes through your head. Joe Eitel, I'm sure, is making some money tonight off their advertisement. Certainly. So, but we had a good night too. We were over 100,000 tonight, boys.
Yeah, there you go.
We have a lot of good competitive games. That's going to happen. I love it.
We love our viewers.
We all love them. Like never before. Great champions. Yeah, you get it. I know Ty's waiting, so I'll get off of here and stop yapping. But gentlemen, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for having a great night and letting the communities rally around you guys and certainly letting everything be seen.
DJ,
thanks, man.
Same to you, man. You did
Appreciate
a great job.
Great
Time
job.
to eat spaghetti. I'll see you.
Okay.
Yes. DJ Oakley, fresh off the Spaghetti Bowl win. We go to someone who had a game that went down to the absolute wire, and Ty Bartell right next door in Ravenna. You didn't have to go far for some good football tonight, Ty.
Wow. I mean, you talk about it taking a little bit to get going, right? I mean, the fourth quarter, they waited till the end, but they showed out big time, did both those teams. Man, oh man, can't you look at the way that Brookfield played that game. They trailed all the way up until 1 minute 1 second in the fourth quarter. And you just talk about finding a way to win. That was the definition of the Brookfield Warriors tonight. Did not matter that they trailed 4 quarters, almost an entire 4 quarters. They found a way. Defense, offense, everyone pitched in. Wow, just incredible. Congratulations to them on that 28-27 win.
Tyler, when they scored, I don't know how you felt, but I kind of knew it instantly. I said they're going to go for 2. The way their season had been going, they have nothing to lose at that point. I don't think they wanted to go into overtime and see what happened in over. They just wanted to say, hey, we have Rico in the backfield. If you can stop him, great. But we don't think you can. And the Pirates couldn't.
And you know what? That running back matchup, Rico Smith out of there, sophomore for Brookfield, sophomore running back, and Briar Buchanan for Southeast. So we're going to be seeing these young men for the next couple of seasons. And boy, did they impress me tonight. They showed up and they showed out for their teams, both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. I expect.
Rico made the game sealing sack, right?
He made the game-sealing sack as well, too. So these are going to be cornerstone pieces for these teams for the next couple of years. I expect it for both of them, too. I'm excited about the potential of both these teams and these players as well. Rico Smith, though, is a dog. Got a chance to talk with him a little bit afterwards, too. And that was pretty much the summary of his answer. I said, how do you get out there and get those wins? He said, because we're dogs.
Because we're dogs. I love it.
Well, and the big thing for Brookfield, Ty, was they've been on the wrong end of a lot of those games this year. The thing I love, and I've always said, Randy Clark is a great coach because he will never let one of his teams quit. And I'm watching that score and I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go again. And all of a sudden they hit a few plays offensively and you could tell it started to click. And that's when I thought the momentum changed.
It was that big pick 6 that they got to in the fourth quarter that kind of just started getting those engines churning. And then you're right, Mike. That was kind of the win they needed in their sails. It got their offense going, and they looked like a completely different football team in that fourth quarter too. And you're right. The way that they've had these heartbreaking losses, you think last week to LeBray and how that turned out for them. That's a very good LeBray Vikings football team that they took down to the wire. They weren't coming out on the wrong end this week, though. They were going out there for a win. Mm-hmm. And like you said, and I think there was no doubt in anyone's mind, too, with the way the season's been. If we get that touchdown, we have a chance to win in front of our faces. We got a chance. That's what I said, too. The silver lining of that play in that fourth quarter, because Southeast scored quick. I said silver lining was going to be Brookfield will have a chance to have that decision to win the game, and they went out there and did it.
And even that tie with 101 left and timeouts remaining, you felt like Southeast had a legitimate chance to answer because they've made big plays before. I believe the touchdown before that for them was a first touch of the drive. Just boop, there goes Bagala. It's a touchdown, So I think even with that touchdown, Brookfield was sitting there like, okay, let's finish on defense because
with 61 seconds on the clock, I was thinking 3 or 4 more scores might happen with the way those two teams were putting up points fast and in a hurry in that fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, Southeast put together a drive too, but Brookfield did a great job slamming the doors shut because they needed to get the stop. It wasn't just get that 2-point conversion, you're done, you win. You had to play defense after experiencing that emotional high, and credit the Warriors for doing so and doing so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kudos to them. Tough loss, though, for Southeast.
Yeah.
It is a tough one, and I heard DJ talking about this where you're talking about looking at Joe Itel at this time of the year, and Southeast, they were already on the outside looking in. A loss like that really, really hurts their chances. You feel like you needed this win tonight to kind of start looking for a potential playoff spot. Brookfield does play spoiler, I think, in a big way right now. I think that hurts Southeast postseason chances.
Oh, absolutely.
Ty, what a great night it was for you. Great call, my man. Thanks for calling into the Scoreboard show as always. Go out and get yourself some Taco Bell. I hope you got some Taco Bell on the way home or something. Maybe a Frosty. What did you get? Did you get something? Let us know.
No, I actually didn't get anything this time. I actually ate before the game, too. We got a nice little spot out here, the wiener guy out that works out here. You gotta check them out too. Not a sponsor yet. I'm working hard though. I've been talking with them, trying to get them on the network too. So we might have it.
We were saying Taco Bell.
He went
and a
Taco
Frosty.
Bell. I went Wendy's for the Frosty because you're
And
usually golden
nothing.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing this time. Pre-game food instead of post-game.
All right.
You earned a treat, so maybe go get yourself some ice cream out of the fridge or something.
Yeah, no doubt, Ed. No doubt. Nice talking
right.
with you guys, as always.
You got it.
Hey, we'll talk to you next week.
Ty Bartel. He earned something. That was a great goal. And
yeah.
He was the last one up. He was the last game going.
I'm not sure what it is, but there's a little thing about aura around Ty. He gets some of the greatest games.
He's got the mojo, man.
Yeah, he does. Big game Ty for a reason.
Big game Ty. And it all started, I think, one of his first games he ever called on YSN. It was with DJ. He was getting his feet wet. It was a basketball game with Fitch. And Fitch won in a buzzer beater. And it's been that way ever since.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Big game time, man. Do you want to go to the scoreboard?
Yeah, let's go to the scoreboard
the whole
here.
Thing on ysnlive.com.
Our Burnett Poles and Spas scoreboard as we get it up. Just a reminder, when we're done here, hey, go on over and join our good friends at WFMJ. They will have the overtime report. Dana Ballish, Brittany Bissell, they got all your coverage coming up for you. They get lots of highlights tonight and all the scores also, but we'll run them down here on our Burnett Poles and Spa scoreboard. And how about Cheney? Nice win for the Cowboys tonight.
Yeah, and this one actually started at 4:00 because University does not have lights, and it was over pretty quick. It was over before we even kicked off. So Cheney got in and got out with a big win.
Yeah, Fairport Harding, a nice little win over St. John's tonight, 43-14. And then you want to talk about heartbreak. Poor Austintown Fitch, and we were reading this with 1 second to go.
Yeah,
Erie McDowell.
1 yard pass play. They pulled a Pete Carroll and it worked.
So no interception that time. But
they didn't have a Malcolm Butler on Fitch's defense.
Tough loss there for Fitch. North Catholic, we go across the border. Beaver, our new school this year. How about Beaver? They go to North Catholic and they lay one on them.
Yeah, Beaver's a good football team. They're in our power rankings. I think in the top 15. They're a good team.
Yeah, they're going to have a tough road to come playoff time, but they are a good team. East Liverpool. I thought this was a very impressive win tonight for the Potters. Bel Air, usually a pretty good football team.
Yeah, they came in and East Liverpool protected home field wonderfully.
Absolutely. And as Ty was on one of our games tonight, we have several.
There were a lot of good ones.
28-27, the Warriors decide to go for two. It was stop me if you can, and if you do, great. If you don't, we're going to find a way. And they did. They got it done. Warren Harding, a win over Cardinal Mooney, 20-6.
Warren Harding, 4 games over 500 for the first time since 2018.
Yeah.
With that win, 6-2 on the year. Oh, sorry.
You got away from it real quick.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I understand. You may not want to see this one. Carrollton Salem, another great game this evening. This one goes to overtime, but Salem says we're going to go for the win, and it didn't work out.
Didn't work out. A fumble right at the goal line.
Yeah, right at the goal line. So they were within inches.
It's amazing how many times has it happened to Salem where they were so close, and it just one little thing didn't go right, and it's another heartbreaker for Salem. It's been that kind of year. You got to keep getting up as hard as it is. You got to keep getting up and getting ready for the next week. You can't keep it in.
And then another really good game up in Ashtabula County, Conneaut and Edgewood. They went toe-to-toe in this one. 29-27, Conneaut comes away with the 2-point win.
Big win for the Spartans to go on the road. And it was homecoming for Edgewood, so that adds a little bit more juice to the Warriors. That's something the Spartans to deal with, and Conneaut a big win.
And speaking of teams that are on a roll, how about Crestfield? Yes, they beat Champion 43-7, but since their week 1 loss to Western Reserve,
he's looking pretty good right now, and
they have not lost a game. So Crestfield,
we're getting closer to that week 10 matchup with Garfield.
Yeah,
here it comes coming down the tracks.
Yeah, it's coming.
One more week. They can't overlook week 9, but man, week 10 looks really good.
And again, another one of our games of the night.
Man.
Overtime needed in Clipper Stadium. Columbiana comes up short. They turned the ball over on their opportunity.
Yep.
Ball's intercepted, and Palestine wasted no time. The Bulldogs They look
First
like a
play got them inside the 10, and then they went the next
to the
play
one.
was the Iriaki touchdown. So.
No, they got to the 1.
No, I think the broadcast thought they did, and then the
But
referees came and signaled a touchdown.
Well,
Because
no,
they didn't run a third play.
Well, he walked in from the 1.
Oh, okay.
He literally
Okay.
just walked in.
Well, that's why, because it happened
Yeah.
so fast. Okay.
Yeah, like it was just boom, boom, boom,
Right.
and it was lights out. Geneva goes into Lakeside tonight. They pitched a shutout,
I know
43-0.
Geneva's on a YSN team. It almost feels like they are because they're on YSN so much playing those 4-0 teams. They're
Yeah.
so good. They're tough.
Well,
They're a tough team.
and I'll mention this when we get to their score later. We can slide back over.
Okay.
I'm going to mention something. Poland taking care of business against Girard. Nice NE8 win for the Bulldogs, 24-6. And Archbishop Hoban. That's a big win for
It's
them.
a good Glenville team.
Yeah.
And I think we thought this game was going to be super competitive. And Hoban's defense stepped up big time.
Yeah.
20-0.
They can play some defense there. Rootstown with the win over Grand Valley, 20-point victory there. And then Louisville, tough one for them. Green comes in there, and they just kind of methodically put them to sleep.
This was actually the first loss for Louisville that was not a one-possession game. So
Yeah.
for the first time this year, they lose a game where they were out of it substantially.
It was 7-0 for the longest time. Like we were watching that, and I was like, they're in it, but they just couldn't quite make the play that they needed.
We were also watching it laughing, thinking that green is orange and black. Which
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
doesn't make too much sense, but hey, we'll move on from that.
McDonald with a nice win. They've got a couple tough games coming up here as they end their season. And speaking of guys who had a nice call tonight, we got to get him in here.
Derek Rhodes, we'll pop him in alongside the scoreboard. We'll sit there next to him. And Derek, we can talk to you about tonight's game while we look at the scoreboard. But man, buddy, thanks for calling in every week. We love it. We love hearing from you.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it. What a fun night for senior night in Hanoverton tonight for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way to have a senior night than have a big fight with Wellsville and to come out on top.
Yeah, a lot of defense tonight. 5 total takeaways by the United defense. 3 fumble recoveries, 2 pickoffs by my man Sidney Casso. He took 1 back for a pick 6, his second of the year. This guy has a nose for the ball. Showed it tonight.
You know, when I was watching that game, and that was absolutely different. I mean, from Wellsville's perspective, you're thinking, man, we moved the ball really well. Tyrell Watkins had a monster game. He's such a freak. He's such a dog. But we turn the ball. We can't turn the ball over against good teams.
Right, exactly. And Watkins was actually quiet early. He got the kickoff return and stuff in the second half.
That'll wake most people up.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you what an athlete that dude is. He broke some tackles and has some speed. Wow. Yeah, they were a good team, but United they showed us something new again this week, guys. Power I formation. I mean, unbelievable. They throw something new every week. So fun.
Well, and you got a couple big weeks coming up here with United.
Yeah, we do. And so Southern held on to beat Valley Christian, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Let me tell you about this Southern team tonight.
Yes.
They had the ball 3 times in the first half. They chewed up most of the clock. Valley tied the game at 8, but it was a kick return. So their offense never saw the field. And the second time they had it, they turned the ball over on downs deep in the territory. And just like that, like it was 24-8 at the half. And Southern drew up the perfect game plan to play against Valley. They kept their offense on the sidelines.
They even survived Valley Christian scoring a touchdown to make it, I believe, a 10-point game. And then Valley got the onside kick back.
Yeah.
And then could not get any closer. So Southern really survived Valley Christian's best shot.
Wow. So, next week, United on the road will play that at Liberty. And I'm taking the show on the road, guys. I will do that game from Liberty next Saturday night, 7 o'clock.
Would you say you're taking it on the roads?
Taking the show on the roads. Yes, sir. Yeah. Absolutely. But, another fun night in United. Multiple guys scoring touchdowns, all on the ground. Thomas Brown, the backup quarterback, gets a rushing touchdown from the running back position. and blocks a PAT tonight. All around fun evening on senior night for the Eagles. Everybody got involved.
Speaking of Southern, why don't we just have an EOAC party and bring in the guy that called that Southern game?
Let's
Talk
do
about
it.
both. Dom Pearson, man. One great call, man. You nailed that football game. We had it up on the TV here tonight. So I just want to say, first of all, awesome job with that.
Thank you very much, man. Hey, it was a great game tonight. Very great game tonight from Southern's perspective. Southern local alumni myself. Job well done. Great game plan from Rich Wright, keeping that defense nice and healthy off the field while chewing the clock on that offense. Literally, they just drove. First possession for Southern just drove us straight down the field, got in that end zone, and then Valley Christian gave them a little bit of a scare. I've never seen a kickoff return for that high school team before on Southern local. As soon as Amir Dixon saw an open lane, there he went, tied it up 8-8, and then ever since then, Southern didn't look back, and Southern took over, and it was just a great game all around. Honestly, great game all around.
I've seen a lot of high school football games in 40 years. This might be the first time I've seen an offense take the field for the first time in the second quarter.
Yes.
I mean, Rich Wright absolutely dialed up the perfect game plan.
And I'm one of Coach Wright's alumni as well. You know his game plans. His game plans: power football, run that ball straight down your throat, and don't ever look back. Take that ball, make sure they don't get it, and that's what Coach Wright did tonight. And that it was just an amazing job by Timmy Potts, at Southern Local's quarterback. He has came along so much as a Southern Local quarterback, and hearing from the Southern after the game, for Derek Rhodes for your game next week for the United Local Eagles and Valley Christian, Southern Local has their fingers crossed, hoping to share a three-way tie for that EOAC title this week.
That'd be wild.
Yeah, Dom, all of Hanoverton loves you guys in Southern tonight. Just want to let you know that.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, indeed. They're going to hope that Valley Christian gets the win next week against United. That's going to be one heck of a game. I can't wait to tune in for that game. And it is going to be a heck of a week 9 next week for sure.
Dom, I want to talk about that onside kick because that could have been a big turning point for Valley, but instead it was not. What do you see in that moment of the game? What was the difference maker to not let that be a point where Valley Christian was able to take control?
Exactly. As soon as number 25 for Valley Christian, onside kick, went straight into number 50 of the Southern Local's chest. He couldn't handle it. Valley Christian landed on the ball, and it was 24-14 at that time. And you're thinking, oh, Valley Christian might have a chance actually, but no. Southern's defense, as we saw most of that game, where Southern's defense was barely on the field until the second quarter. They were barely on the field. They had all the momentum in the world, and then Valley Christian tried to steal it from them, and Southern's defense, all nice and healthy and
fresh,
and everything. They took advantage. They took advantage right away. They took advantage of it, and that was just a great game plan from Coach Rich Wright. All hats off to Andy Hake as well. I'm a fan of Andy Hake as well, but hats off to Coach Wright. That was just an amazing game plan of keeping that offense on the field, making sure Valley Christian had no chance at all to win that game. And this was my first time tonight to get a good look at Jay Sean Lindsay. I've never seen this young man play before. And while watching the Power Hour show today, they called him Mr. Unlimited. And I'm like, okay, that's a little bit weird calling him Mr. Unlimited. So, but as soon as I tuned in and watched him get on the offensive field, that kid is dynamic.
I know why now.
Yeah, now you know why.
I'm like, I did not like you. He kind of reminded me of like he shouldn't even be in high school. He should be in college right now. Like he's doing all kinds of jukes and cutbacks and that. Like college football and NFL pros do. You don't see that in high school football.
Hey.
And I'm like, this kid is going to be something special for sure.
Well, they play some of their games on Saturdays, so maybe
Yeah.
he's just getting ready.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Dominic, I got a serious question for you. So Southern starts the season 1-4. What changed that momentum? They've reeled off 3 straight wins. We know what they got left, but what changed everything to get them back on track?
The one thing about those first 3 games that they lost first 5 games. They lost to United. That was such a close game. Good game all around. The first 3 games, you're going up against a Division 5 opponent in Division 7. Now, I'm not making any excuses or anything, but if you watch some of their games from when they played the Division 5 teams, turnovers, penalties, everything like that you can imagine, they couldn't get out of it. They couldn't get out of the penalties. They couldn't get out of the turnovers. Now coming into the second half of the season, Coach Wright has dimmed down on those penalties, on those turnovers. Like tonight, I think this is the first time of the season Southern did not commit one penalty whatsoever tonight, and they only had 1 turnover, and that was from a strip sack from Jay Sean Lindsay on to Timmy Potts.
Of course, it was Jay Sean Lindsay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, Jay Sean Lindsay. I'm like, who the heck is this kid? Like,
He's Superman, Batman, all rolled into one.
exactly. But I think for Southern, for them to turn around for the first 5 games going 1-4, for them to turn it around and turn it into, hey, we're going to come out, we have nothing to lose mentality. This is, I believe, Coach Wright is building a great team in the second half of the season, and the kids are all excited for it because they think they have a great shot in the playoffs now.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for great calls. You guys both drilled it like you always do.
Yeah.
Congratulations on great calls. We'll see you back again for week 9 next week.
Take care, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a
Take
good
care.
evening.
2 of the I think the gems of YSN.
It was fun to have them both on at the same time.
They called great games this week, and they had great games this week.
Yeah.
Let's finish off the scoreboard here, and then we can get out of here and give it to our friends over at WFMJ.
All right. So we just
were
got
at
done with
McDonald,
McDonald,
Camel.
41-7 they won. Indian Creek shuts
Surprised
out
me.
Beaver Local.
Surprised me the way Beaver Local has been playing.
Yeah, I was surprised. Madison all over Jefferson tonight.
Tells you how
44-6.
good Madison is.
Yeah. Hubbard, they needed a win. They get one tonight over rival Lakeview 30-20. And then Latonia Lisbon. That actually was a very good game.
Yeah,
42-28. Latonia just refused to quit. Your game of the night right there.
Mhm.
You called it. As soon as I walked in, you looked right at me and went, Liberty's beating LaBrade tonight. I said, all right. Okay. Lowville, I think once they got in gear tonight, they were in pretty good. And the G just rolled along as they shut out Newton Falls 40-0. Yeah. Big trains coming down the track. So as we move along, Perry, they are a good football
They're
team.
so
49-13, they beat Harvey. South Range, I don't know how many conference wins it is in a row, but that streak continued tonight as they beat Niles. Another game of the night, Springfield Middle Ridge, they traded punches.
Yes.
They went toe-to-toe. It was a heavyweight bout, and in the end, the Tigers just had one more good punch. Struthers gets the win over East 26-6
in Youngstown, a hard place to go and play any of those Youngstown City schools in Classic Rain Stadium. But Struthers up for the task.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, Ursuline, a big road win tonight up at Villa Angela St. Joe's, 24-17. Southern, big win for them over Valley Christian, 31-14. Warren JFK just continues to roll along as they shut out St. Thomas Aquinas. And then it is United, as we talked about, winning 56-27 over Wellsville. And West Branch shuts out Alliance 49-0. and Western Reserve, a winner over Waterloo, 42-16. Any action tomorrow?
We have Wyndham playing tomorrow. Actually, we can check too. Go over
Okay.
to tomorrow's scoreboard. I know Wyndham will be in action tomorrow. Let me get the and we'll just go over here to October 11th, and we'll just we have 2 games tomorrow.
games.
Mohawk plays and Wyndham plays.
Yeah, that's a rivalry game. Mohawk Western Beaver. That is a rivalry.
I feel like every game
Yeah.
Mohawk plays, it's
Is
going to be
a
a rivalry.
Western PA football. That is an old Tri-County League conference matchup. Those 2 teams will battle, and then Wyndham. They've been on a roll. We'll see how they do tomorrow. So hopefully the Bombers come away with another win. But that'll put a wrap on week 10 or week 10.
Week 8.
Week 8.
Right.
It's 11-10. But hey, we are done here. We're glad you tuned in for the Audible Call. We're glad you tuned in for the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. Now just make the switch over to Channel 21. My good friends, Anthony's good friends, they're getting ready to start the overtime report. Dana Ballish, Brittany Bissell. They have plenty of highlights that you can see, plus all the scores. So thanks for tuning in tonight. We're glad you joined us for the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. That's a wrap on week 8. We'll see you back here for week 9.